Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
I must say, Dennis, you look very here, like for sure.
Is Dennis concerned he's not here? Oh,
He said, I'm here today, not, but prior to that, it was just a wall of members emojis. Just advertising the membership. That is the number one perk is a wall of emojis.
It's a good perk. I mean, you get a fat kitty emoji, and what else do you want? I mean,
sure.
Nothing else I want. That's worth the. What do I pay for this membership? Like
$1.99 a month.
$1.99 a month.
And I have
good enough.
Pretty much no plants that you want, or just a few that I'm growing that are kind of slow.
You sent me the pink canna back that I sent you.
Yeah.
That was a good deal.
It's doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's doing good for me now too. I hope it'll bloom before frost. I mean, hopefully we won't get frost till October.
That one I can really tell when it's lacking nutrients, because it will bloom a little, like kind of droop over and bloom like one part of it. But when I put a bunch of root tabs, now it's like double, triple blooms at the top of it.
Anything that's in a container, whether it is your aquarium or a container in a pond or a container of like petunias or something, you have to fertilize it a lot to keep it looking good. But if it's just planted in the ground, it's probably fine.
Yeah, I actually started propagating it on the ground.
Yeah.
My lawn guy, I guess, got too close with the weed eater and chopped one of the really tall ones down. But I'm concerned he disposed of the evidence. Like, I don't even know where that canna went.
I mean, it'll come back from the root.
I know, like you don't have to worry about it because it will grow back. It's kind of funny.
I'm going to send you at the end of the season my orange cannas, which I don't think they're great in a pond. I mean, they're okay. I wouldn't say they're great, but you can just plant them by your pond and they'll look really good there. But I mean, they're fine. But pretty much everything but that pink canna, I would describe as fine. And then there's that pink canna, which is, it is the best. It is the best. Hi, Shell.
Haven't seen Shell around in a while. She just stopped by to say hi.
Been a while.
If we pay $2.99 a month, will we get better plants? No, because it depends on how many members I have, that I either lose money or break even with the shipping cost on the member plants, and it seems to work out okay. Breaking even is fine with me.
And right now you get nothing because it is too hot in Louisiana.
I know we sent some out, but now everything is high 90s. It would not leave the city in good shape, so it's gonna have to wait. It could be October, and then we'll just start sending them out en masse.
We're in like a 15-day stretch of like weather in the 70s. It's so nice here, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, screw you.
I know. It's just because we went to this train museum because Jake and my brother-in-law and my nephews are all super into trains. And no one gives less of a fuck about trains than me.
Yeah, I saw that Friday night. Just immersed in the world of trains.
Yeah, we rode some antique trains. We saw a bunch. It's the biggest train museum in the country. If you're into trains, this is the place.
How many train museums are in the country?
A lot. I mean, my sister's like, this is the 4th train museum I've been to.
Wow, 4 is a lot to me.
Her kids are super into trains and her husband's into trains. And my sister is a person who has to do activities. Like she will do like 2 or 3 activities a day with the kids. because she's an itch, is what she is. So, but anyways, yeah, we went to this train museum and we rode some antique trains and we saw a bunch of trains. And it was very boring, but it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day. It was 74 degrees and sunny and breezy and just really, really nice. So that made it tolerable. But otherwise, trains just don't care. So, but Jake is going to go to the Clash where he will be equally bored. I mean, he has friends there. So,
Yeah, Amish buffet though. There's that.
there's that. I mean, just like at this train thing, we went to my favorite dim sum place in Chicago. So that was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jake likes to see his friends. He likes to see you and Jenna. He likes to see Annette. You know, he has friends there. So,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really care about fish. He does not care. So, but yeah. So this was the equivalent for me. A whole day of trains.
Well, I redid my boost bowl last night.
Oh,
Still kind
nice.
of cloudy, but I was gonna share.
Okay, that looks good. Hard to
Yeah.
photograph a bowl.
Yeah, well, it's also really cloudy, and it's
Oh,
really hard
yeah.
to photograph for
I think it
sure.
looks good. Is that the one that is RO water only, or?
Yeah, well, so the reason why I had to redo it was because I noticed that like I put RO water in there, but my KH was going up. Like, what the hell? I had lava rock in there, and that Dymax planted tank substrate that is supposed to be like the same as stratum, but somehow doesn't cloud the water whenever you fill it up for the first time, doesn't need rinsing, and it's very like hard gravel that turns soft whenever it gets in the water. And I was thinking either this is just straight up inert and not really going to do anything, or it might actually be some new special formulation. Well, no, actually, this substrate is defective, does not do what it says it does. It does the opposite. It leaches GH and KH into the water, raises your TDS, and it's bad.
Yeah. Got to go.
So got rid of that. It sucks because
Yeah.
I bought a big bag of that because it looked. We escaped with it at Aquafest, and I liked it because it felt like gravel, and when you could just pour water straight into the substrate and it wouldn't cloud it up.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
the more I try, the more I kind of just want to use football stratum.
I know.
Because
Like,
I know
well,
it works, like I know it works and it's not that expensive because it goes on sale a lot, so if you just wait for, Amazon Prime Day, or it does go on sale on Amazon quite a bit.
and since is that green wavy and Ketagang? Probably. There's there's a long one. See, I got long boost, short boost, big boost, round boost, wavy boost, dark boost. That's what I'm naming them.
Super emotional skeleton. I mean,
Emotional skills.
I mean, they just have the dumbest names. They just have the dumbest names.
And I put all the tiny boosts at the back.
Okay, that's
depth.
and I actually think that's really effective, having the big boost at the front and the tiny stuff.
Yeah, because it's a pretty small bowl. There's magnification on the sides and the front, and I'm not that great of an aquascaper, and in a nano tank is that much harder to do.
Nano tanks are much harder. I think they're much harder to scape.
It gives me even more appreciation for Nano Aquarium guy and what he can do with his.
He is amazing. He is amazing. I think that bigger tanks or like oddly sized tanks, like either really tall or anything that's not golden rectangular cube proportions, are really hard to scape. So I think a bowl is pretty challenging.
Yeah,
because you want to be able to view it from, I mean, not 360, but a lot of
Yeah, I have
angle
that
with
big
liquid.
stupid filter on the side that gets extra magnified, but it gives a lot of flow. And I have
Yeah,
the CO2 diffuser sitting right there, so
yeah. And I
kind
don't
of
know what a good filter for a bowl would even be.
usually nothing, but
Yeah, but I think that Boost really is going to do a lot better with flow in it because if you get green algae in
mhm,
Boost, it is game over. It is
yep.
game over, and it is so prone to green algae, green hair algae, and I think flow really helps with that.
Yeah, Brandon said a small box filter. This is kind of like
Yeah,
that. It's powered. Um, it's actually pretty small. It's just I didn't think it through when I picked where I was gonna to put this. I probably should have put it in the back behind it because it's magnified here on the sides. It just makes it look so much larger than it actually is.
yeah. And the issue with the
Um,
box filter, I mean, they work, but they take up space in
yeah, they
your
all take up
aquascape,
space.
and there is no space, no real estate to spare in a tiny bowl. And as Luke points out, there's not too much. There's no such thing as too much flow for
Hmm.
boots, and I
Yeah,
would agree.
yeah. I got
There's
this
a lot of
cranked up like it's a
yeah,
vortex.
yeah, yeah. I mean, as long as you've got it glued in there firmly, it likes a lot of flow. It really does. And I
The
think that
mini,
most plants like quite a bit of flow.
I think so. The
Yeah.
mini
Sure.
boost in the back is actually still attached to that red lava rock, but you can't really see it hardly because it just covered it over time. Instead of like all the little tiny roots of mini boosts were just in like all up in the little holes in the rocks, so I just left them there.
Yeah. And Luke
And
points out that GH colors them up.
oh
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, my water has a good amount of GH in it, so I have never thought about that. I mean, my water out of the tap is GH6, which I assume is more than sufficient for any plant.
yeah,
But in Steven's case, he has to add GH. So
yeah, I
they
probably
add a
it's
bit
probably
more.
like 3 degrees GH
Yeah.
eyeballed it and no KH right now.
Yeah. So maybe adding a tiny bit more would help. Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
Pink flamingo, no CO2
yay!
injected tank. This is the low tech with the co-op light. It's growing.
Nice. Not dead.
Right.
Encouraging. Not
Plant
not attacked by algae.
plant
Encouraging.
farm needs some attention, obviously. I need to spend some hours in this tank actually
Yeah.
to overhaul it. But it's growing. Nah, kind of like one of the leaves looks already melty and still got that immersed leaf. Then we've got the living room CO2 injected tank with the UNS contra soil. It's getting another leaf going on that one. If it's doing fine, I'm just leaving it alone. And the Chihiro's tank. Womp womp.
Hmm. Mwah,
I
mwah.
don't think it's gonna do anything. I think it's just gonna rot.
That could be. I mean,
I've been kind of lacking on maintenance a little bit and algae removal, so everything's kind of getting covered with algae, and I haven't been
yeah.
trimming dead leaves and things like that. So this is what happens. But if you back up and look at it, it looks great. Just when you start zooming in on this shit, it's a
No.
sad situation.
Yeah. I'm kind of in an algae free period for these two tanks. I don't really know why. I don't even have to scrape the glass.
I mean, my 90 gallon has been algae free for a long time,
Bigger
and
tanks
I
are
can
easier. Bigger tanks are easier. I mean,
yeah
this one, like, we'll get some seasonally a little bit of like spotty, dusty stuff on the glass once in a while, but it doesn't really trouble me. So,
yeah easy to wipe the front of it. Nathan would like to promote a channel that he finds very helpful and has some good aquascaping skills. Okay, go for it.
all right. I don't know
So
if it's mod.
Branton,
Can't link it, but
I wondered about this too. Boost flowering, was that a sign of happiness or
I don't think
stress?
so. I don't know.
I
I mean,
wonder
I
because
think Boost
Boost is
flowers
mostly
really
immersed, right?
easily. I mean, I think Boost flowers really, really easily. I just think it does.
It does. Yeah, mine does all the time. I wonder
You
it's
don't-
just because it's immersed and it's like or submersed and it's like I don't want to be here anymore, and so it wants to like send its seeds downstream. But
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't. I don't think that pretty much any plant is especially happy growing underwater, with
no.
some exceptions. I mean, there's some true aquatic plants, but most of these plants are not that happy. They would be a lot happier in a terrarium.
Oh, sorry, Mike. That was the Asta light.
Huh.
He recommended a light for the bowl. It's like a little
Oh, okay.
round beam that goes top of it. Yeah, that's
Nice.
the Asta. I like it. I mean, it's on boost, so it's like at 15% brightness.
Yeah, you don't want to blast your boost. I mean, it's yeah. So Zenny says my boost flowers all the time, and I moved
Hmm.
it, and it did flower more, but now it's kind of evened out again. I do think it can be a stress response, but not always bad. Maybe, yeah. I mean, kind of. I think that boost flowers really easily in general. I mean, I don't think there's anything though I guess like, in your hap contests, you will get way more points for flowering your boosts, which, so if your boost flowers, it is a sign that you are a master aquatic horticulturalist. So there you
And
go.
I have the one crypt for me that flowers underwater is the Rosen Maiden. It
Hmm.
hasn't in a while. Well, actually, I think it might be in one tank, but it goes through just like my boost. It goes through a season where it's all flowering just constantly,
Yeah.
and then it takes a break for a little while.
I've had Lutea. I've had Wentii flower. I've had a few Crips flower. I just cut them off. They're ugly.
Is
I
it?
don't
Do they send the flowers above the water or they stay submersed?
know. They stay small. At least the ones I have. I mean, the tanks are not
Oh,
particularly shallow. I think they're really ugly, so I cut them off. I don't think there's any like joy in a crypt flowering. Just cut them off. I mean, I don't want my plant to waste its energy on flowers. I mean, right now this hate pearl is sending up a flower, and I'm gonna cut that off because it's ugly.
oh yeah, God.
You know. Well, hate
So,
pearl is not like overly prolific. It's not so carno. Like
oh,
but in general, most tank plants, I just don't care if they flower. The flowers aren't that good looking. I have lids on my tanks. I just don't care if they flower. It's not
I
like the
still
outdoors where I'm growing things to flower.
I still enjoy just even the tiny, easy flower things. Like Jenna just sent me a picture because our bacopa outside. I didn't even know I had
Yeah,
bacopa outside. It's just a piece of plant that got tucked behind one of the felt.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, Bacopa has pretty flowers, but I don't know. Compared to what I'm growing outside, I just don't care. I mean, the
Yeah,
stuff
it's a little
outside
bitty
is
flower.
yeah, and as Luke points out, all aroid flowers look the same. Yeah, they're the spathe and spadex flowers, which
Hmm.
it is the characteristic traits of the family Araceae. So they have, what a peace lily looks like, or a calla lily. It's called a spathe and spadex. The spadex is the center point, and the spathe is it's a bract or a modified petaloid
Hmm.
leaf that forms around it. So yeah, and some spathe and spadex flowers are really pretty, and you grow them to look showy, but on a crypt, I just don't care, you know. And I don't think that you're very skilled just because like you're
I
Anubias.
certainly didn't do anything special to make anything flower at
Yeah,
all.
I mean, I'm looking over at my Anubias right now, and there's like 4 flowers, and
Oh,
I don't.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I'm closer to becoming a master aquatic horticulturalist.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I mean,
So
it's
Matt
really
M was asking if I listened to that watercolors podcast yet, and I did. I actually listened to it couple of weeks ago, or last time you were asking me about it, I listened to the one that was, I think, titled "How to Be Better Scientists in the aquarium hobby."
God, I hope I
And
could learn how to be a better scientist.
well, I think people would benefit from listening to that for
Was
sure.
it good? Who does it? I've never heard of it.
It's the watercolors. It's a store based in Michigan,
Okay, that's
and
cool.
they're also on YouTube. They don't seem to get a lot of listens and views on YouTube, but they also have it published on their website and probably elsewhere too. That's the
Yeah,
thing about a podcast is you can, if they have it in all the podcast platforms.
right. It's hard to say where it's getting the most hits. All right,
So
Eduardo asks us, looks like I have hair algae growing in 2 of my tanks. With students starting tomorrow, do you think I should wear the hair algae as my hair? Sure. I mean,
it looks so much grosser when it's out of the water,
it
though.
does look grosser. It's true. It loses its loft.
Hmm.
I mean, we
You have to
can't
have a
tell you how
lot.
to live your life.
You could elevate it, like getting some aquarium plants underneath it and just like drape the algae over it, give it some volume.
I mean, it's a thought. You know, you could also make yourself a hair algae smoothie.
Mm.
Mm. Is it good for you? I don't know. It probably won't kill you.
Got a mix of a little bit of detritus, and it's
No.
beneficial bacteria, so it's beneficial, right?
There you go. I mean, it's certainly bacteria. Is it beneficial? I don't know.
In some way.
Is it going
Don't know if
to
it's beneficial to your gut, but
it's beneficial to something?
try anything at least once.
There you go.
How do
All
y'all
right.
feel about supplementing fulvic acid into your water column? Supposed to be good antibiotic and growth promoter for breeding fish, but what happens to the plants?
I've never
Kelly, I
heard of
don't know.
doing that. Is that like a tannin?
Ful-
What is
I
fulvic
think
acid?
tannin is humic and tannic acid,
Yeah,
right?
that's humic and tannic. So I don't know what fulvic
Fulvic.
is. I am very skeptical of anything that claims to be an antibiotic.
It's found in humus, soil, peat, streams, lakes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I would say whatever. Probably won't kill your fish. Do I think it's probably antibiotic? No. Do I think it promotes breeding? Depends on the fish. Hard to say. I don't really like the idea of putting things in the water column that don't need to be there. So fulvic acid is an organic acid. And do you need to add an organic acid for some reason? I don't think you do. I don't like to add things to my water column unless I know exactly what they're doing. So I
Yeah.
add fertilizers and I don't add any organics. I do use dechlorinator because I have to, but I don't like to add anything. I think that fish really like clean water, and I'm skeptical about anything claiming that has antibiotic activity because
WebMD says it might also reduce swelling and prevent or slow the growth of cancer.
well, there you go. Fish cancer, huge problem. It's
Yep.
I think it's snake oil.
Mm.
I mean, if you want to add it, will it hurt things? Probably not. But I just think that fish really like clean water.
I think I would probably just put super peat and aqua soil or even dirt in my
Yeah.
tank before I would just start adding the extracts of the things that
Yeah,
occur naturally in
I
it.
am concerned with adding extracts that the dose could be really high. I also think that any antibiotic properties it might have are going to have a very rapid half-life in your tank. So they're going to break down really quickly and going to be pretty useless.
Hmm.
I think that any organic waste or any organic compound you add could lead to bacterial blooms or imbalances. Your plants aren't going to use it. So it's just a thing you're adding to the water column that has nowhere to go but to be metabolized by bacteria. And I don't really like to do that. So I wouldn't do it. I am not into tannic water. I don't think it's unhealthy. I think that there's some fish that really like it. I just don't like the way it looks. That's just a personal preference. I know a lot of people really like that look. That's totally cool. It's just not my jam. So I'm not going to do it.
So how do you propagate Brazilian pennywort, J Rock? Would like to know.
So you turn your back and all of a sudden you have a tank full of it. So that was one plant that even in Iowa rock hard water, I couldn't keep up with it. It's,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy, that plant. It grows just about as fast as Sunset High grow, maybe faster. Hard to say. Yeah, that's a really, really fast grower. There's no trick to propagating it.
It's a stem, right? You just
stem
snip it.
and yeah, and you can snip it between the inner nodes and will have little roots forming between the inner nodes and you can plant those. I think it's kind of hard to keep it rooted, so it kind of likes to float all over your tank. You can also plant it in your garden, but please don't if you live in a warmer climate because it's horribly invasive. So like if you live where Steven lives or in Florida, please don't plant it outside. It'll take over really, really quickly. But there's no special trick to propagating it. It's a very, very easy grower. I mean, that would be a good one for you to get for the plant farm. Because if people want an easy weed, that's an easy weed. That's one.
I've never had it. I should
really?
look into it.
I mean,
Thank you, Vibes.
I guess I haven't talked about it because, well, I mean, it's not something I'm going to grow now, but it is a super fast grower.
Yeah, I could start swapping things out because I've been offering a similar grouping of plants for the last year or so and changing a little bit. So
my guess is it's illegal in a lot of places to sell it because it is horribly invasive. So if you were to look on your state's extension website or your state's like DNR website, I'm guessing your state might not allow it. And if it
well, I also, I already have like Polysperma Sunset that
right, but just for like people to know who live in like Florida or the South,
don't throw it away outside.
You wouldn't put it in a pond. I wouldn't put it in a pond. Now I could put it in a pond because the frost will kill it for sure. So
Vibes is making it rain. Thank you, Vibes. First $1.99 super sticker and then two 99-cent super stickers.
Thank you, Vibes.
Let's see. J-Rock says it keeps sending shoots out from the base, but nothing that looks like it can be separated from the rest of the plant.
You can just snip them between at the inner nodes, and each of those nodes will have little teeny tiny roots that can be propagated.
Yeah, so it's probably just like, I mean, I have a hydrocotyl, tripartita.
It's similar to that. It's quite a bit bigger. I mean, I think the leaves are about like that, if I recall.
I have the tripartita mini that I got from Luke, which I actually like better than the regular tripartita.
Yeah, and those are harder to grow. Brazilian pennywort is a super weed. And even if you don't plant it, it will still grow and it will still take over your tank. So I would just say throw it in your tank and do nothing, and it will propagate. Even in very high KH water without CO2, it will still grow. So yeah, that's when you should get Steven, because it's a super easy weed, and if people want an easy weed, that's a very, very easy weed.
Yeah. Good option to swap out because like to have some variety. So passing wind, narrowing it down to of regulators I'm looking at. I think I'm going to go for the GLA. I just can't tell what the difference between the one that's 100 and 125.
But then he
But I
had
think he
another
said,
comment. Yeah.
yeah, that's a single stage, which
Yeah. And I like the 2-stage ones because I mean, it just tells you when your gas is running low. So that's kind of nice for that. It's not necessary though. I mean, if you really want to save money, it's a thing you could do. The one thing that I do think is very useful to pay for is to get one that has a manifold, because then you can run multiple tanks on it as long as, I mean, there are some people who will have like 25 feet or something between tanks, and just run a really, really long line. I don't think that's super practical, but you could run a couple tanks that are next to each other. And I mean, like I have one regulator driving these 2 tanks. And so that's a good way to save money. So it's a little more expensive to get a regulator with a manifold, but I think that, that's a good deal.
yeah.
That's a good way to save money. Geek Boy says, never save money on a regulator. Look elsewhere to save money. Agree. But a legit way to save money is to have one good quality regulator driving 2 tanks. That's a good, or 3 tanks. At a certain point, it's probably too many tanks. Technically, I think you can put 5 manifolds on, but I don't know. What's the most you're driving with one regulator?
3.
Yeah.
And that's on SR Aquaristics.
I think beyond 3.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
much.
intend to add another one.
Yeah.
In fact, I have 2 SR Aquaristics in the same room. One of them's driving 2 tanks and one of them's driving 3.
Yeah. Do you notice any like difficulties with driving 3 as opposed to 2?
When I had it on the F zone, yes. With the SR Aquaristics, it doesn't bat an eye at it. It's fine.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, and I have a GLA regulators driving 2, no problem at all. I think that driving 3 could also be just as easy. So, yeah. So CoreWorks has been giving us lots of information on fulvic acid. Let's try.
Yeah, I saw that. So there's studies he's saying that backs up that it does benefit plants. Aquaculture studies. So that's what I want to know, because a lot of things that benefit plants.
So, and he talks about foliar application, which is pretty worthless in an aquarium because it's all getting diluted into the water column. So you would have to add quite a bit of it to do anything. So it increases plant height. Tillers. So tillers, that's a corn thing. I don't know that you would. So tillers are, it's a grass term, and it just means more branchiness of a grass. We don't grow really any grasses in aquariums, so that's not really an issue. More grain.
Grass is not a grass.
Straw, rice. So these are studies from rice. I mean, so it's applicable to rice. It maybe does something. I don't think yeah.
Yeah.
So
I wonder a lot of things that apply to terrestrial or plants above the water.
Yeah.
Like
and the thing is like
efficiency charts and stuff. That stuff kind of doesn't apply as much when you go underwater. Like the plants.
And a lot of those studies are like what are called spray and pray studies. And it's like, here, let's spray this chemical on a bunch of plants and see what happens. And they're not always the highest quality studies either. I mean, I would have to see the studies, but my guess is they're not necessarily the greatest studies either. So, yeah, I just... the
aquaculture studies were on rainbow trout. Yeah, like the deficiency chart or nutrient deficiency chart for plants. I think what that originated from was from terrestrial plants, and what you were saying is that it doesn't really. Yeah,
it's not even right for terrestrial plants because, like, the most obvious terrestrial plant deficiency to diagnose is chlorosis, And I have a picture of it up on the Discord if you ever want to look what it looks like. But it's like yellow veining, or it's yellowing out of the leaves, and you can see, but it still has green leaves. That's what chlorosis is. That's an iron deficiency. And those plant deficiency charts never even have chlorosis on it. So, I'm really skeptical of those. I'm pretty skeptical of like spray and pray studies. I mean, there's a lot of snake oil out there.
But did we make someone else's day better? Vibes like to know. And thank you again, Vibes, for the super chat.
I mean, I feel like I fed the cats, so I made their days better. I'd like to make their days worse though, because they've been making my nights worse. Because they've been really like annoying me at night lately, and it's really interrupting my sleep.
Are they like walking all over your face, or like knocking things down in the other room?
It's like stomping all over my belly, like just walking across my body. And like I'll turn over, and like Fat Kitty wants to spoon on this side, and I'm like, oh no, wait, cat. And I'll turn over, he wants to spoon on this side, and like Big Kitty likes to lick me. Like, go away, cats, just go away. All right.
So yes, Massing Wind says CO2 art with a manifold is $270. Is that really what I'm looking to spend?
I mean, that's what
$250.
That's what I spent on my GLA
for the expandable ones.
Yeah, like, for the expandable one, and then I bought an extra manifold.
They're like $30, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty insignificant cost. And then I bought CO2 proof tubing from them because one-stop shopping, and yeah, so I think that's about what I spent. Yeah, so it was expensive, but man, peace of mind, so worth it. And it is nice to have something expandable so you can run more than one tank.
Yeah, I agree. But you can get the what's it called, the CO2 art one that is not expandable, and sometimes you'll find that one on sale for like $120.
Yeah, but then it's not expandable. So like, if you're gonna get two of those, you might as well get like one.
SR Aquaristics, if you get it from them, I don't know if they have it in stock. It's been out of stock for a while. It's like it's $200 plus, and it's already expandable, and you have to pay extra for another manifold, and it's like $30 for the manifold. So, I mean, you're going to be spending $200 plus for an expandable one.
Yeah. So Corwork says, I'm just saying that the plants use them. Well, they do and they don't. So if they may use some fraction of them if they have some sort of hormone activity and don't use the rest. I mean, we really don't know unless we have a mechanism showing how that's used. Then we don't know. And that's really difficult to measure in an agricultural study because you spray it on the leaves and the excess drains into the rice paddy, and who cares? It's the dirt. So, and they're not concerned with that. Whereas I am concerned with things building up in my water quality. So,
yeah. So he's asking, how do foliar applications compare to water column dosing if they're both absorbed through not the root?
Yeah. So, and that's true, but fertilizers do get used. Whereas I don't know if this stuff all gets used.
The foliar, well, I guess he was saying it's being sprayed on the leaves.
Right. Yeah, so the leaf tissue takes it up.
But how much is sprayed on the leaves, and how much would it take in the aquarium, and how much of it would just kind of be in the tank in the water column?
And then break down in the water column.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really don't know. And what does it get broken down by? Well, it's going to get broken down by bacteria. So, I don't know. I just don't like to add things unnecessary to my water column. I mean, I add fish food, and that breaks down into all kinds of things. I do add fertilizers.
Spray and pray, birth control technique in Texas.
Oh, Texas. You and your bad sex education. I'm skeptical of that too. But anyways, I just don't like to add things to my water column unless I know what they're being used for.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention the reason that that Passing Wind is looking for a regulator, because he was looking at the Aqua Rocks Colorado one for a while.
Right, that one that was really cheap.
Yeah, well, it was a little deceptive. They're doing that thing where it looks like you're getting the regulator, but there's two choices here: extra manifold or regulator with two manifold, which is very, very grayed out. Whenever we were showing it on this stream, I didn't
Yeah.
even notice that there were two options
Huh.
here. So yeah, he got an extra manifold. It's $99 for the actual regulator, but it's sold out. So
Yeah, and I would not yeah. I wouldn't buy an unknown $100 regulator.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so annoying though. I would,
That
yeah,
is annoying. I
really
agree.
annoying.
I agree. That is annoying. What's this? You fed the cat so you can survive another day.
This is like, maybe take my comment down now. Thanks.
Nancy B suggests I become nocturnal like my cats. Easy solution. The thing is when they are most active is like 5 a.m. And there is no universe where I want to be awake at 5 a.m. I mean, I know that there are super motivated people who are like, I want to work out at 5 a.m. And I am not those people. I want to be asleep at 5 a.m.
Yeah. So the GLA dual stage manifold regulator only has one gauge. Are there different versions of the GLA? I don't know
I
anything
mean,
about the GLA.
they do. I mean, how I figured out which one to buy is I just texted Orlando and I told him what I wanted, and he sent me a link. I mean, yeah, they do have ones that are one stage. They have ones that are two stage. They have ones that are expandable with multiple manifolds. I haven't looked at their website though in a very long time though, because I bought these regulators from them years ago and I have not needed to upgrade since, because once you get a good regulator, it works a very, very long time. So I don't know exactly what they have, but I mean, I guess I could show you what the regulator I have, what it looks like. I don't know if you can see down here, but
Yeah, well, kind of.
yeah,
Move
I mean,
it down just a little bit.
there we go.
All right.
There's the two stages. There's the bubble counter bubbling away.
Yep. Move your camera down just, well, never mind. Down a little bit more.
Can you see it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a weird angle of gauges.
Well, that's because I bumped it.
Oh.
And it's like a little bit askew.
Okay.
And if I had not done that, it would be fine. But I'm not messing with it now until I change out the bottle. So.
So something fishy asked, can I direct inject CO2 into plumbing? Would it be more effective? That's usually a good. I'm assuming he means like the output of a canister filter. I've even seen people inject directly into their AquaClear intake effectively.
Yeah, so I like to inject into my my outflow. I would not inject directly into your impeller because
just chop the bubbles up.
Yeah, well the thing is though is I don't like to do anything that could lead to my filter cavitating and airlocking. So I wouldn't inject it like directly into that, but I like to inject it into my outflow. And the impeller action of your filter is not enough to sufficiently chop up the bubbles. You won't get fine enough misting. You do need to use either an external diffuser or an inline diffuser. You can also use a reactor, but you need to use something. Just getting it in using your impeller is not enough. So.
Yeah, the reactor is great just because if you don't like all the bubbles around, it kind of dissolves it before it reaches your tank. That's what I have on my 90 gallon. This is just a giant reactor. But then I have like the inline diffusers, which create a lot of bubbles, and that can be beneficial in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good efficient way to inject CO2 versus like the in tank ceramic diffuser.
Yeah.
So
Passing Wind says that the GLA dual stage modular manifold with just a single is 175. Hey, that's a deal. And you can always buy more manifolds as your needs change. And I think they just what do they just screw on there, or
you have to take the first one off and then you add the second one. The first one is like the end cap of your manifolds.
Got it. But it's not hard to.
No.
Yeah, I've never done that just because I ordered mine already with 2 and it was already put together. So, but I don't think it's hard to add to that. So.
Geek said, I love Aqua Rocks, but I have that regulator. It's pretty cheap and I would not rely on it with fish I really, really care about.
Yeah. Good insight, Geek Boy. Good insight. Because a cheap regulator can and will fail.
Dennis Engel asked if you could have any KH on a planted tank, what would you choose, especially when talking about conserving CO2?
I don't worry about conserving CO2 ever because CO2 is very, very cheap and you can always inject more. But I would like to have, I don't know, 0 or 1 would be pretty great.
Yeah.
But I'm just not a place in my life where I want to have RO water. So
one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
I mean, I have it and I still don't use it that much. Like I don't just start putting it in all my tanks.
I have perfectly acceptable tap water. I have KH6, which is not bad. And it's fine for growing the kind of plants I like to grow. I'm not really into growing a lot of fussier stems, so it doesn't really matter. And even if you have RO as an option in your life, it's still a pain in the ass. Like you still have to make sure you have some sort of storage vessel for your water changes and have it slowly dripping in there. And I like to do big water changes every week. And using tap water is so convenient. It's just so easy. And that's why, since I have pretty good tap water, it's good enough for my needs. But if I had a choice, I don't know, like KH of 0 or 1 or 2 would be pretty great.
Yeah. If you have the super low KH, you don't have to worry about making sure that you're injecting enough CO2 to get over that hump. It's just you can do the really, really, really low and slow.
It's so easy. And honestly, even with a KH of 6, I don't think that KH in conserving CO2 is an issue for me at all. I have no trouble. I could gas out my fish no problem if I wanted to. It's just not hard. I mean, when I had a KH of 22, maybe conserving CO2 was a little bit more of an issue. I don't know.
Yeah, just to not have to go to the place and get it filled.
Yeah, but I mean, where I live, CO2, everywhere I've lived, CO2 has always been pretty cheap. Injecting CO2 is pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, if you have the option of low KH, it just makes life so much easier. It is so much easier to add things to your water than to take them away.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, as a geek says, 0 or 1 KH is what I have. A 10 pounds bottle lasts me over a year. In his 90, he's definitely doing low and slow. And then Luke is doing madman things. 10-pound lasts him 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, and I don't even inject CO2 at that high of a rate in these 2 tanks because I don't want my rainbows to feel uncomfortable. I want it below the range where they're going to feel twitchy. So, and I know what that looks like. I've observed my fish. I've observed the flow rate. I kind of know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you have a KH of 0 or 1, a 10-pound tank is going to last forever. Yeah. But Luke is a madman. He's trying to grow lots of really hard plants and
Yeah, and you can put a lot, like, they say like or at least the internet says 20 to 35-ish ppm of CO2 is what you should aim for, but there are people that are doing 50. Tom
yeah.
Barr showed a tank one time that was like 75 ppm of CO2 and the fish were
Yeah.
fine. It varies, but
Depends on the fish. Some fish get twitchier than others.
mhm.
Um, I don't think I can push more than 30 ppm with
I
rainbows.
would, yeah, with
They just
rainbows.
they start getting kind of gasping toward the surface, and I don't want them to feel uncomfortable.
I think the tank that he was referring to was a Cardinal Tetra tank, which their
Yeah, that
tolerance
makes
is
sense. That makes sense because they are from very acidic, very tannic water.
like 4 pH.
Right.
Crazy.
So every fish is different. I mean, rainbows are very adaptable to a wide variety of water. There are some rainbows that do specifically need soft water. Cali Jacora, it needs very soft tannic water, so acidic tannic water, which is why many reasons I've never kept it. It's hard to find, but also I don't really have the water for it. But most rainbows are pretty adaptable. Even if they come from harder water, they're very adaptable. But still, I don't want any fish I keep to feel stressed out. And so that's why I observe my fish. And if they're twitchy, I would turn it down.
Is there not a reverse mister of some kind that could release a more fine mist of bubbles underwater as opposed to misting water in the air?
Isn't that like an inline diffuser? I mean, I have an inline diffuser.
Yeah.
I like it. I have this one, the Nylock G.
I wonder if you did like an inline diffuser followed by a reactor. That would be even more efficient.
But the thing is there's only so much CO2 you can dissolve in the water column, and that depends on temperature, pressure, and pH and KH of your water. And so there's only so much CO2 you can inject in. And so I don't think there's any point in doing that because you're only going to have the amount dissolved in. And then you lose out on the benefit. Tom Barr says that there is some benefit to misting CO2 because plants can use CO2 either dissolved or gaseous.
Mm-hmm.
And some plants maybe prefer gaseous CO2. And
if you can keep it kind of circulating around the water column, even if it's not dissolved.
Yeah.
And then it's pressure that kind of dictates your carbonic acid, right?
Well, pressure dictates how much any gas, not just CO2, you can dissolve into any liquid. So the more pressure you have, and which is why something I've always been interested in, if you live in Colorado or high elevations, like, do you need to inject more CO2? Is it harder to dissolve at the water column? Of course, Geek Boy has such low KH water that it just doesn't matter. But if you happen to have hard water, high KH water, and live at really high elevation, is it hard to get even harder for someone like Steven who lives in the swamp? Like, you live below sea level, right?
I do.
Yeah, because you live in the bayou. Huh. So I don't know. I mean, but temperature, pressure, and concentration is what determines how much, and then also KH, how much CO2 you can dissolve into water. So, but for any gas, any liquid into any gas, temperature, pressure, and concentration.
I think I might have missed context here. If Coro's saying, I'm pretty sure if you wanted to, you could put the lights inside the pressure vessel of the tank and straight carbonate the water.
I'm
not sure where that came.
I'm
scrolling. And I cannot see. Nathan,
one reason, by the way, that plants will grow better at lower temperatures is you can have more CO2 dissolved in the water column. How do you test this ppm of CO2? Well, you could directly measure it, but that's really quite difficult. You have to have instrumentation that will test that. Other ways you have to infer it, and you infer it by knowing your pH and your KH, and you test some of your water that has been allowed to off gas overnight, well, or a couple nights, some people even say, and you measure the pH of that, and then you measure the pH of and KH of your water when you're injecting CO2, and you can look on a table and see what that translates to, how many ppm of CO2 you've injected. So you infer it rather than measure
with some caveats of like not everything that makes up alkalinity is carbonate. Not everything that's contributing to your pH drop is CO2, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can kind of infer, like, lights out what your water is like when it's allowed to off gas versus, like, this for me would be prime CO2 injection. The CO2 has been bubbling now for, I think it came on at 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's been going for 6 hours. It's kind of at its peak. So I could infer from that how many ppm I'm injecting if I cared, which I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm injecting how much the fish can tolerate before they're fussy.
So Dennis said Henry's law has more to do with how deep your tank is. So maybe like the atmospheric pressure wouldn't make as much of a difference.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I don't think our tanks are deep enough for Henry's law to take effect.
I mean, I think it's just so negligible when it like in a typical aquarium environment. But like something, for example, the pressurized water in your pipes before you turn on the tap, if you have dissolved CO2 in those pipes, that water can come out more acidic than it would ever be if it like in your aquarium.
Yeah.
Just because of how much carbonic acid is in there under pressure.
And that's going to bubble away. That's going to bubble away. But I don't think that anyone has a tank ever deep enough for Henry's law to matter at all. That tank would be very difficult to light. That's going to be a much bigger problem. Much, much bigger problem.
Mm-hmm. And even a 2-foot tall tank is a bitch to light.
Yeah, it's a bitch to light. Yeah.
Branton says, if I make my kids blow air through a straw into my tanks around the clock, would it work the same as injected CO2?
People have tried it.
You can change the pH of if you have like a 0 kH, you could blow bubbles into your water. Yeah. That's like a classic chemistry experiment.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, your kids are going to have to eat dinner and go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Take a break, pass out.
I'm sure Steven can confirm this, but anytime you're relying on your children for any kind of labor, they're just not reliable help.
No.
They're just not. And Steven has really good kids.
I mean, they try and they have their own idea of what accomplishing a task is, and the older they get, the better the more accurate that idea is.
It's true, but for now, they're not the most reliable labor.
So just as far as ppm, etc., if it's plant only, unless your pH is too extreme for that plant, by keeping it sealed, you could carbonate the water by having a higher dissolved CO2 count. I don't know how to word. So just like a higher pressure aquarium. I mean, you can. I wonder what the full saturation of CO2 injection is if you didn't have to worry about fish. Because I was doing that kind of whenever, like this tank behind me before I added fish.
At a certain point, you can't dissolve any more CO2 in your water, and it depends on what the KH is.
Mm-hmm.
You're limited by the I guess the carrying capacity of your water, which is the KH. There's only so much you can dissolve in, and if you go above that, it just bubbles out. Mm-hmm. So there's the underwater environment is just never going to be as good as the terrestrial environment for CO2. It's just never going to be. If I were to take these plants and grow them in a sufficiently humid environment, because some of them have to be very, very humid, so like a wetland, they would all be much, much more productive. Because I don't have any plants that are obligate submersed plants.
Dang it, I was trying to show these amazing aquascapes on Facebook, but the problem with Facebook is all of your messages just pop up.
All of mine.
And everything just can be easily read. So I'm going to have to mute some chats because people are getting chatty. Okay.
I had to mute my family's chat because my dad.
I had to archive some family chats.
My dad, he does not know how to like bulk send pictures. And so he'll just send one picture at a time, but he'll send like 100 of them in a row.
Oh, geez.
I know.
I just, because this is the Korea International Aquascaping Contest, and just this is number one, world ranking number one, and I started looking through them just because this one caught my eye. It's just, I don't know, something I know that I could never, ever, ever accomplish.
Yeah.
Under any circumstances.
The usage of light in that and shadow.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah. I would like to see what that looked like, a video of it. Would it look really, it would have to look really different. Because you have to understand when these are photographed, you know, they take the tank light off of them and they will shine directed light onto them.
Yeah, it's.
And I mean, and that's not being disingenuous or anything. I mean, the point of
it's the perfect photo. Like they wanted to make the perfect photo.
So this may not look good in your home. You know,
well, it sure as shit wouldn't look good in my home after a week.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a lot. I mean, this is, you know, this person who did this is a wonderful artist.
This is a huge tank too, 120 centimeters by 60 by 45, so it's like 100-something gallon tank.
Yeah.
Dennis Engel, thank you for the $20 super chat. He says if you had a 100-gallon, 30-inch tall tank blacked out on 3 sides so that little light refracts from the sides, would you go dark water planted tank? I mean, I'm not opposed to trying anything once.
I'm not really into black water. I just don't really like the way it looks. That's just my personal taste. I don't think it's bad for fish, and I know it's an aesthetic a lot of people like. So I probably would not, but if you want to try that, you can. I do know that lighting a 30-inch tall tank is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. This is a standard 90-gallon, and it's hard enough with the standard 90-gallon, which is like 20. I don't remember what a 90-gallon is for height.
Mine is 24 inches tall, but it was custom built it.
Yeah, because yours is a custom built one. Somebody in the chat will tell me how tall a standard 90-gallon is, but it's hard enough with that. And it's a geometric, you know, a logarithmic relationship between height and how much power you need. So it's not a linear relationship. So it's going to be pretty hard to light that tank. And I don't know really that having it
tinting the water is.
Yeah, I mean, tinting the water, I don't know. It's going to decrease the amount of light that reaches the plant. Is that significant? I don't know, but I just know that it's going to be hard enough to light that tank. It's going to, I mean, if you put a lid on it, which I have to, that's going to decrease your power even more. So
that'd be a challenge.
My advice would be to get something like a Chihiro's for fixtures that has a lot of intensity, or that Nylock G light fixture has also got a lot of intensity, just to get it lit. So yeah, But if you want to try a blackwater tank and it makes you happy, and go for it. I mean, it's a look a lot of people like. It's just not my jam.
I haven't ruled it out. Like I do want to try something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would really try to emphasize the plants. I would see what would grow, but if it didn't grow,
Yeah.
I wouldn't make a big fuss about it
A
because I
lot
know
of,
a lot of things are not going
yeah,
to
I
do that
mean,
great.
and a lot of fish do look attractive in that kind of tank. I just don't like it, you know?
But yeah, so I titled this thumbnail like aquarium gardens versus jungles for things like this. Like I love a jungle look. This is like a well manicured jungle look.
There is so
It's
much work that goes into that.
right. It's like this
Just
is
the
not just
amount of
letting things grow wild. This is
trimming
like every freaking leaf.
to keep those mosses looking good. I mean, the person who's doing that, first of all, they're changing the water 2 to 3 times a week.
Mhm.
They are trimming probably also 2 to 3 times a week.
Just like the placement of a 3-leafed plant just randomly coming out
Yeah,
amongst some
I mean,
moss and ooze.
this is beautiful, and the person is a wonderful artist. This is not for me, clearly.
Oh
I don't have
no.
tanks that look like this. Also, I don't even see the fish in there.
Oh,
They're-
they're there. They're very very blended in. There's some it looks like some rasboras of some type.
Oh, there they are. Yeah, but whereas I really want
Yeah, I mean this
I want
is
my fish to be a centerpiece of my tank because I really love my rainbows. I love them.
literally the fish for this is just like
Yeah.
add some movement and
They just look like,
they
or like, like little birds flying through, like,
mhm.
in a jungle. And it's a beautiful artwork, but it's kind of not for my lifestyle. I love this one. This one has such beautiful movements to it, and you can really see that vanishing point. Oh, good news from Geek Boy.
Nice peacock gudgeon fry.
I've heard those are super easy to breed.
And Luke hates moss.
You know
Yeah, I'm
what?
not a big fan
I don't,
either.
I don't know what the context of that is, but agreed. I
Because a
also
lot
hate.
of that first escape was very moss
Yeah.
heavy.
And that's, a lot of these big aquascapes enjoy growing the following plants: moss, hair grass, tiny hair
Moss is
grass,
great for like a very like the
Monte
detail.
Carlo,
Mhm.
Hemianthus callitrichoides, and that's mostly it. Like, you are mostly growing foreground plants, like a lot of
So
foreground plants.
is
You're
this
never
like
gonna grow things like
Nanoval or Blixa? I mean, not or some kind of
might be
Blixa or
cyperus, could be cyperus,
the
maybe.
Hellfry or
Uh,
like really
Yeah,
tall
or
hair
it could be
grass.
like, but yeah, what's the tall hair grass? It's Eleocharis viviparus.
It's I think
Maybe.
they call it like umbrella hair. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know the
could be
species of it.
Eleocharis viviparus or something like that. But in general, if you're a person who is kind of into like growing plants for the sake of keeping a certain plant, if you're more of a
Mhm.
plant collector, that's very opposed to the contest aquascape lifestyle. They're just very different things. So yeah, I mean, just beautiful.
See, in
Just
my non-expert opinion, I would rank this one above this one, but
I like the other one better. I like the movement
yeah.
of it. It has a lot of energy. But that's not to say this isn't a beautiful tank also, because it's incredibly beautiful.
Although I do think the little winding path look is overdone a little bit.
Yeah.
They did a good job with it though, like to add depth.
There is something very evolutionarily hardwired in us to like the look of a path. They've done studies
Oh,
on that across cultures, and we like, as humans, we like the look of a path move off into off into the sunset.
Luke said
So
aquascapers can't grow plants. It's a different skill. I
it's
mean,
just a
this is
different skill. I mean,
this
and
takes years and
everything
patience and
and
yeah.
they're growing plants that are, I wouldn't say anything they're growing is terribly difficult. They tend to grow easier plants, mosses,
Mhm.
and foreground plants. None are very difficult, but they have to be maintained very, very well. And just you know, designing that hardscape is so much skill to design good hardscape.
Would Busto nubius grow as well in a black water tank?
I've never tried it.
As
I'm
well as
assuming
what
it's
though? Like,
fine.
I don't think it would die.
I mean,
I don't know about Boost.
especially
Anubius, I think, would do fine.
yeah, the Anubius is. I mean, they're gonna be. It's very little will kill an Anubius. You know,
But if
if
you
you
put
get it
Boost in
sufficient
low
light,
light, like Boost in low light and no CO2 injection, it's just gonna sit there.
it's going to be
So
a magnet for hair algae too. I would say Anubius is a better choice, just because in life, I think Anubius is a better choice. It's always easier to grow. Unless it's that one, what Ghost Anubius or something that
Brownie
people
Ghost 2011.
What's that Anubius that has no chlorophyll in
No.
it?
Oh no. Oh yeah, the not Boost. Anubius nanopin. No, that's the variegated one.
Ghost, or I don't know. It's something stupid that they grow it in tissue cultures.
Yeah.
And it's so it can grow without chlorophyll because it has nutrition from the tissue culture.
Snow White. Thanks, Luke.
Snow White.
Snow White, yeah.
I love it when people are like on the forums, like, "Oh, look what I scored at Petco." Good luck with that.
Jungle tanks for life.
Yeah, there are plants in the wild that can grow without chlorophyll, but they're parasitic plants. So if you've ever seen a plant called ghost pipe, which grows in the forests in temperate forests in North America. I don't know if it grows down where you live, Steven. It might be too hot.
I don't know.
But if you go hiking, you can see ghost pipe, and that is a parasitic plant. I guess maybe it would be more like saprophytic plant would be more accurate. It grows in detritus, but it does not have any chlorophyll.
Zen said, Jenna showed me the white bacopa. Yeah, it's another one. I know I'm not supposed to say it, but it was kind of pretty. It's beautiful. White, like a bright white plant to break up the red and green in a tank. It would be fantastic if they lived.
Yeah.
What do you think of this one?
I love it. I love that X shape. I love
the logs, fallen trees.
The sense of depth is incredible.
I know.
Because they make that tank look so deep. Notice how at the back of the tank they have little twiggy things, and that makes it look really far away. It looks like you're looking really far down that path. So
I don't know what the rubric is for these, but like
I like that one. But I also like the plant choices in this one a little bit more. I think that they're a little bit more interesting.
Is this pennywort in the front here?
It's hard for me to tell. I think it might be. Or hydrocodal verticillata.
Okay. It's not letting me zoom. So
which is a kind of pennywort. That's what it looks like, maybe.
Yeah, see the comments like based on the top one, this is my number 2.
And look at how they waited till the fish were swimming in that little channel, and they put in the time to get that picture because fish don't like to behave. They don't like to behave.
Yeah, I just Luke was talking about the long hours that he's put into scapes, like how long it takes him to do one. And I don't think I've ever put that much time into a scape.
I just, I don't know. I'm just not interested in, I'm not interested in doing it, but I do recognize that this is very skilled artwork and these are very talented individuals. Yeah, so like Luke claims that he knows someone who's growing platinum. What is platinum bacopa?
Oh,
it must have some chlorophyll in it. I don't know. I've never grown it. It must have some chlorophyll in it then.
Yeah, maybe the photo we saw was just like a really blown out,
and
overexposed.
It with light. So must be very, very pale green because it's not a parasitic bacopa or saprophytic bacopa. It's not a thing.
Luke says no money is to spend on plants. I will totally do some trades with you, Luke. I just got to figure out if I even have anything that you don't have or would even be interested in.
I mean, I don't know. Do I have anything you want, Luke? I mean, if you want pond plants, like if you ever want to grow pond plants, like next year, I'll send you a bunch of lotuses. Those would be fun for you. They're super fun to grow. That's beautiful.
Look
I
at
love
the fish in this one, the way they're
They look like
arranged.
they look like birds that have flown into a cave or something.
Yeah.
I think this one, the X is a little too obvious. But
Is
maybe
this
that's
like
just me. I don't know.
is this like a reflection from the top of the water? It's hard to tell.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of how's the Gardneriana doing? It's doing all right. You know what's doing really well is that the aeroid that you sent me. This guy. This is doing really good. It's really happy in my hydroponic bowl. Luke didn't know what this was. This is from Tom Barr, though. But it's
Cool.
pretty happy.
Nice. Wait.
Luke says, yes, please. That'd be lovely. We'll be setting up the greenhouse once the rain softens the dirt a bit. So next spring, I will divide everything and I will send you lotuses and water lilies because I have to divide those every year. And that'll be a good deal for you because a lotus root is like 40 to 60 bucks. And I'll send you one of every single one I have. So, all right, what's that plant on the bottom left of the last pick? Looks like a hydrocodal, but rounder, bigger leaves. I don't know. I can't see on my end.
Yeah, and it doesn't let me zoom up any further, so.
Yeah. That's the thing. I would like to see these tanks close up so I could see what plants they had.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would like a plant list, but they never do. Again, because they have different objectives. You know, their objective is making a scene, whereas mine is like having really enjoyable looking plants. So they're just different.
This one's pretty cool too. The other thing I wonder is like, is if this is this carpet underneath, if this is dwarf baby tears or Monte Carlo or what, and how long has it been sitting there with like 2 par at the substrate?
But the thing is it may not be 2 par always because they take their light off of there, and you know they've got like a Chihiros or something or an ADA solar blasting it with light, and it looks very, very different when it's growing in that. And then they take that light off and they pinpoint light it to show the story or image they want to portray. It's just a different art form. I mean, but to get that stuff growing underneath the bridge, it's got to be lit or it wouldn't grow. So it's just different goals. And these would look really, really different if you saw a video of them or you saw them in someone's home. I think they'd still be beautiful, but they would look really different. They would have less shadows for sure. Because, you know, getting in these dramatic shadows.
See, Jeff Kane. Are you listening, Jeff Kane? Did you just want to interrupt me right in the middle of my stream, Jeff? Okay, look at this.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so that's Ghost
So
Pipe.
he was listening.
Yeah, and you can. I mean that plant is found in Wisconsin. I've found it in Wisconsin and Iowa and Indiana and Washington and Oregon and it, you know, all the northern forests it grows in. It's a really cool plant, and that's the flower of it. I've seen it in Yellowstone. I don't know if it grows down where you live. Maybe it's too hot. I'm not sure.
Not seen it.
Yeah, it's not a commonly found plant. Whenever I see it, I'm always pretty excited to see it. So
Jeff is good at that.
Good job, Jeff. So Luke says, in all honesty, I don't have duckweed because I'm the most anal person I know about getting it out before plants hit tanks. I'm morbidly afraid of getting it. That's good practice because a lot of people are plagued by it. And once it's in your tanks, it can be very hard to get rid of. That said, I don't know. I'm just unable to grow it. I have a tiny
It's a
bit of
healthy
it.
fear to have.
I have a tiny bit of it in one pond. It's never proliferated beyond about, I don't know, a teaspoon total of duckweed, which is not enough to bother anyone. I'm not good at growing it. I'm just not good at it.
How many people enter this contest? Got to be a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Because yeah, this is number 8. This is ranked.
It's way
8.
more than 10. Let's put it that way. They get hundreds and hundreds of entries.
This one's different.
The biggest contest I thought was IAPLC.
Yeah, I think so.
Mono.
Because Geek was asking if that was one Tommy from Aquarocks entered. If he entered this Korean one, but I think there's the IA.
Yeah, IAPLC. In the United States, well, but it's open internationally. Is the AD or the Aquatic Gardening? So AGA, Aquatic Gardeners Association. They have a pretty big tank, but the biggest is IAPLC.
Yeah, I don't know when they post those. This was posted in the last few days, so
yeah.
Curious. This one's pretty interesting the way they have this set up.
Yeah, that one reminds me of a mangrove swamp.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's not supposed to. Maybe it's supposed to remind me of something else. I don't really like this one as much. But that's not to say that this person isn't very skilled, because this person is incredibly skilled.
They probably took a risk doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe they got high points just for that.
Nathan Hovey says, your hair is beautiful today equals Java Fern. You are glowy today equals Crypt Parva. You're the most amazing I've ever met equals 10 back mystery plan. Steven loves being told that he's glowing today. But I got to say this, Steven's entire family is the great hair family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys all have great hair. Every one of you. I just have hair.
Maybe it's the water.
Nondescript.
That's right. Yeah, Zim was saying Stephen Chong was saying IAPLC was the Olympics for scapers. He was guest on the Fishfam.
Yes. The only difference is, and I saw a little part of that. I was cooking dinner, so I didn't chat, and I couldn't catch all of it, but he is
a great stream.
And he scored second place is his highest finished, which is a wonderful accomplishment. Mm-hmm. But I have known Stephen Chong at least tangentially since he was like a slightly obnoxious, like 20-year-old. And it's so weird thinking of that, like, he's an international aquascaper and a dad and just super nice, you know.
People grow up, you know. If you had known me when I was 20, you probably wouldn't be a fan either.
Well, and the funny thing is like, God, it was just so fucking long ago.
Yeah.
I'm just really old. So, because I would have been, you know, in my very early 30s or late 20s then. So, I mean, he seemed really young to me, but now I guess he's not. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, he's amazing. He's so talented. And even back then, he was very, very talented and very driven. So.
Yeah, he was talking about his, like, this level of aquascaping, you know, they actually get mentored by some of the greats. Like, this is not just wake up and I'm going to throw some wood in a tank and it's going to look good. And now I'm an artist.
And he's been working at this so long. I mean, because when I started doing it, he had been doing it for a couple years, getting serious about it. And he was already like, you know, he would start a tank, grow it out, take pictures, but then tear it down, start another one. And this was even in his dorm room. So, you know, he was just very serious. And I think he was an art major, maybe, if I recall, in California. But anyways, he was very serious about aquascaping as an art form, even back then. Whereas I was just really serious about growing anything in my cage 22 water. Just trying to grow something.
Just please something.
Just please
Something that's not Elodia.
just something. And Zenny says, but he's mother effing Stephen Chong. Exactly. We
Yeah.
should try to get him on this. And the time zones are so hard because he's in
Yeah, I
Japan.
know.
But yeah, he's really cool. And I have a lot of respect for him. So
I'm trying to see what this red stuff is at the top.
Is it I bet it's like Atra.
No idea.
Because it's always something easy. Like,
Yeah, that just needs a lot of light to look good.
yeah. Well, or like AR Mini. But it's just like Aquascapers are never growing like rare, fancy, or hard plants. It's always easier plants, but they're so good at it, and they're so good at hardscape, and they're so good at photography. Oh, so Jay says that Steven lives in New York now. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Well, that makes it even easier. We should see if we
Yeah.
can get him on this because that would be a lot of fun. And he's in my time zones. It's not as bad.
As Jenna said, I
Cool.
just noticed that Dymax was a diamond sponsor for this contest. Look at that.
What's Dymax?
That's what I was telling you about, that substrate that I had to replace in my
Oh,
bowl that
right.
was doing the opposite. It was raising my KH.
Oh, yeah. I got to feel like none of these people are using Dymax.
No, this is a very thin layer of sand down here, obviously. It's
Well, and behind that, like they will build up like walls of aqua soil, and most of it seems like all they really are into ADA products for substrate. Yeah, because once you start using it, you just want something predictable, and they know how it grows. And I remember even Stephen was using everything ADA way back then, so it's probably stuck with it.
So some people are really into paths, and I really like trees.
I just think that this tree is too heavy in the middle of the tank.
It is pretty symmetrical. Like it definitely shouldn't be
it has
right
a little
there.
too much weight. I would like a little bit narrower tree.
Damn, everything around it looks so freaking great.
But everybody has their, and I do like that they got the fish right there. I think that breaks it up nice. And they planned it that way. So
they got the tripartita going down the sides.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of moss and hair grass in the foreground. I guess this is probably S. repens or something on the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt M says, I like the Biotope Aquascape contest tanks, traveling around aquatic ecosystems around the world. I think that's really cool too. And I don't have the discipline to do that. Like, I guess I could just use, tanks from Sahul, or plants just from Sahul. So that would be Australia and, Indonesia and Papua New Guinea and all that, Papua. But, and that would still leave me with a lot of plants. And maybe that would be something I would enjoy doing, but I don't know. Then I wouldn't get to grow other plants that I like. So, but I do think that biotopes are cool.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a different thing.
Tripartity.
Hi, Poopy Pants.
Rico, good to see you.
I'm not wearing pants. How about that?
Me either. I'm wearing shorts.
I'm wearing a dress.
This one's got trees and a path.
Something for everyone. I don't know. I guess I don't really like the structures that the path leads toward. But you know what? This is not always, it doesn't have to be about me and what I like.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure it looks quite natural enough with these like trees.
But
crossing
maybe
swords.
but it doesn't have to be about me and what I like. They tried something,
I sure as hell can't do it. So
yeah, good for them. I mean, I don't care for this one. I think it's too disorderly.
It's titled Lotus Swamp because there's, I guess that's a red tiger lotus.
Also, it's not a real lotus. It's a nymphaea, and that kind of annoys me. Name it right.
That's why they ranked it 14.
Good. We want truth in advertising. I like this one better than the other two. I think that those logs look really squishy.
Mm-hmm.
I like squishiness.
Trees, vines, path, sort of. Rummy nose tetras.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Looks like, it reminds me a lot of Josh Sims' earlier work. The Indonesian school, the jungles. A lot like that. Alshon asks, what do you think of 2 Hour Aquarius products? They donated 2 boxes of products for my club's auction. So isn't that their fertilizers?
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
weird marketing type names for them, but given it's a good source of information, the formulation of those are probably pretty good.
yeah.
Just don't know like if they're worth the price or anything like that. I've never used them.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'd be good. And
I mean, as a website as a whole, the source of information, fantastic.
Very good. And I do think their fertilizer probably works pretty good. I've never used it. That said, lots of fertilizers work pretty good. I mean, there's nothing magical about these chemicals. Like, this is not a potion.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, if the price is right, worth bidding on, you could certainly use it. Green
sure.
Alley.
It's green.
Squishy.
Very squishy.
Kind of like the, reminds me of like curtains. I don't think anyone's trying to depict curtains in their aquascape though, so.
Rummy nose tetras are very popular in these
Very
scapes.
popular. Also, those rummy nose rasboras are popular because they have kind of a nice blue sheen.
I like the color.
Use the same fish. None of those fish are very exciting fish. I don't know. That's a value judgment. If you find these fish exciting, they're still worthwhile fish. But
the color pops here, scratch an itch in my brain that I for some reason I like.
Yeah, I mean, and it just colorful aquascapes have been less trending in the past few contests, I think.
Looks like a scene out of some fantasy book or movie.
Yeah, I mean, but that said, didn't Stephen Chong just do like an autumn aquascape that was really, really red a couple years ago? Like he wanted to look like Japanese maples. He wanted to look like in the autumn. Maybe I'm just making this up in my head.
I don't know.
It could be.
Probably have a way better memory than I do.
I don't know about that. I didn't get much sleep last night. Cats stomping all over me.
Freaking cats.
Cats. Zenny says I would think neons would be good, but maybe they're overdone. I don't know.
I mean, I would say rummy nose tetras at this point are really
are very popular. Rummy nose tetras are always going to be popular because nothing schools quite like a rummy nose tetra.
Yeah.
They just school really.
And also their swimming pattern is this way. And then let's everybody turn around and go this way.
Yeah. Nothing schools like a rummy nose.
And to change it up, let's turn around and go the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's probably very easy to get photos.
Yeah. So they're always going to be a popular fish choice. But like mature rainbows are never gonna be popular. I have seen some contests.
I just some big fat Bosemani swimming across the scape.
Some big fat Bosemani. It's never gonna happen. I have seen contest aquascapes with some Praecox rainbows. Which Praecox rainbows are if you can get good ones, which is so hard now. So hard. But they're so beautiful.
I think so doesn't Foxy have them, and I think Jeff Kane's also reading them.
But I don't know if they're the good line, because I haven't seen the good line in years. There is someone in Seattle who has them, the Praecox Pagae. His name is Roy Sletvold. But he's a plant guy. He's not a fish breeder. So I don't know that he's I wish he would breed those and spread those around. Because there are people in his club who are really good rainbow breeders. And they would get them out a little more. But yeah, the Praecox pagae. If you ever see Praecox pagae, snap them up. Snap them up. They're so beautiful. So
Here we
Zenny
go,
has
Zen. These look like
yeah.
neons or cardinals, perhaps.
Here you go. Zenny has a link for us of the scape.
Oh, let's see. She's dissing your line, Jeff. Jeff, we need you to really talk up your rainbows. I want you to
I'm sorry.
tell us how pretty they are.
I feel really old. Be like, oh, when I was your age, the Praecox were so much better. But it's true.
I'm trying to get that link, but I gotta wait for the YouTube side of chat to load, and it's just sitting there.
So, and Jeff says, I have some. I don't like them much. I mean, maybe well, not even maybe. They will get better with time. That is just true of all rainbows. Even cheap rainbows, even, inbred or hybridized rainbows, they'll still get better looking with time. That said, I had the best looking Praecox back in the day.
Caitlin's got some asshole puffer hating Praecox. She had to separate from
And
her.
you got them from Dean, but I don't know if Dean has the good ones either, because unless they're Praecox pagae. Jeff says rainbows are fugly. Well, you know what? So are you. So there. So there.
Let's see. Damn it, I can't. The YouTube chat's just sitting there and not loading. Sorry, but we gotta go. I gotta eat. Oh, wait, here it is. I'll open this and then we gotta go. Holy shit, that looks great.
Rico says asshole puffer. That'll blow you something fierce. The Japanese garden.
Whoa.
Okay, so that was the inspiration for it. That is a Japanese garden.
Yeah,
that was what he was inspired by. Looking glass of the maples, but I want to see what his scape looked like that was inspired by it.
That's it. This is the garden.
Yeah, that's the garden, and then the scape.
This is the scape. Yeah,
that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. He's so talented. So there you go. That's a more colorful scape.
Damn.
Yeah, Japanese maples. Well, maples in general. I don't know. Do you guys have maples down there? I don't think you do. But maples get really, really red in the autumn. But you guys don't really have that. It's not a thing. But when you go to the Clash, you will be in peak leaf-looking season in Pennsylvania, which is beautiful in the fall. So you will get to see good-looking maples. You'll get to see it. So that's another reason people should go to the Clash.
Agreed.
Peak leaf looking. Yeah.
Wow, that didn't make a top 100. Jay said how that didn't get in the top 100 is beyond me.
Yeah, Damn. It's kind of funny because I know the year before he hit number 2. So, sometimes he tries something and he is more experimental and it hits, and I guess sometimes it doesn't, and I don't know, it's subjective. Yeah. So Jeff says, once I got married, I already tricked her, so I don't have to be pretty anymore. Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Jake and I are married, so he's still got to look good.
Got to impress you every day.
That's right. He's got to look hot.
Rico said he has lots of stuff to give away at the Clash.
Rico's giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I don't know that I'm going to give anything away at the Clash, but I don't know that I won't. I have no plans. I'm just going to be there.
I'm just going to do whatever I'm told for helping out with Fishfam link booth and setup and stuff.
What day are you guys getting there?
Wednesday evening, I think.
Yeah.
And we booked the flight, but Jenna has that information because why would I have that information?
Yeah, we're going to get there Thursday evening. So
cool.
And we'll drive because it's not that far for us. Oh, will not be here next week. I will be in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with family. you know, living the dream in Michigan. Vibe
Okay.
says no hugs. Vibes, of course there will be hugs. Not all of you are hug worthy, but Vibes is hug worthy. Some of you I don't want to hug. Won't say
So
it.
approach Kelly and decide, and she'll decide
I
whether
will
you are a hug
decide.
worthy.
If it looks like you haven't showered in a week or so, no. Oh, and Zenny points out, if you want to support the Fishfam website, yeah, support Fishfam or fishfam.link. Do you need Netflix? No, it's mostly crap. I mean, I watched this movie with Harry Connick Jr. on Netflix. It was the worst movie I have seen in probably 10 years. And it was
What
on
was
Netflix.
it called?
Falling into something. It was awful. Passing Wind says I'm still jailbait to him. I am very elderly. I am jailbait to no one. Anyways, yeah, you don't need Netflix. Instead, you could be, you know, supporting fishfam.link, the website that supports all of us. These things are not free. Support them. So, do we have any other words of wisdom to depart to people?
Go do your water changes. I'm a little bit behind. I got to catch up this evening.
Yeah. That's good advice. Do your water changes.
And yeah, hit the like button. Thanks, M. Myers.
Yeah, unless you didn't like it, in which case you could hit the dislike button.
Interact, engage.
We can't tell you how to live your life.
It's all good.
So Rico says, I have underwear that is no longer jailbait. Who am I kidding? I don't have underwear.
I mean, why would I need underwear? I don't leave the house either. So,
you know, I am not saying you have to wear underwear to hug me, but you do have to shower.
Yeah.
That is required. But I guess if you want to not wear underwear, well,
it's your prerogative.
Between you and your pants. You do have to wear pants to hug me. All right, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks, right?
Bye, Elfish. Bye, Elfish. We're just wrapping up.
Is it 2 weeks? So I'm looking at the schedule because I also will not be here for Labor Day.
So you'll be gone for the 19th. You'll be back for the 26th, and then you'll be gone again for the 2nd. Yeah. And so next week, I might do what I did last time, like the water change stream, just walking around the fish room. And
yeah. Dee mentioned that he could wear a kilt. There you go.
He could.
I mean, that's an option. It's a valid option.
All right.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody, for being here, and see you later.
Bye.
Bye.